This weekend, the How to Train Your Dragon live-action remake dropped in theaters. So today we're going to stop and rank all 4 How to Train Your Dragon movies from the least best to the best. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your ranking of all 4 How to Train Your Dragon films. With that, give me the point of reference. Have you read the books? Did you grow up with the movies? Are you a parent like me? All that fun stuff, so we kind of have a point of reference for where we kind of come in with our different experiences with the films. And let's get started. Easily in 4th, How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake. But I don't really even want to say last because I think it's good. I think it works in live action, but it doesn't have the magic, the sparkle of the other films in this franchise for the obvious reason that it is a fairly straightforward, beat for beat, scene for scene, line for line remake of the original film. Little changes here and there, but it's the same thing in a different format. Now, it is pulling from a very effective story about an outsider, a boy and his dog, relationship with his dad, a little romance, dragon action, all sorts of great stuff with an amazing score, and it's the type of story that I think translates really well into live action. There was this little watch show from the last decade called Game of Thrones. It was all about people riding on dragons in live action, and the people that watched it seemed to appreciate that. This is kids riding on dragons for the whole family, and there's just something a little bit more, I don't know, tactile or whatever you want to call it, about a person in live action riding on a dragon, even if it's CGI. But even in animation, there's a little bit more distance there, and so as soon as you put it in live action, it just feels a little closer. It's a little bit more visceral. It feels more lively. It's a different type of experience, and one that this works well. So, does it have a creative spark to it? Does it have the magic of the rest of the franchise? No, but does it work in this format? I think absolutely it does, so I think it's a good movie. It's just not a special movie. Today's video is brought to you by Factor. Summer is here. We've got more sun, the pool is open, and I want to spend my summers with my kids at the pool, not in the kitchen cooking and cleaning. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat. With over 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals, choose from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. I go with either Keto or Protein Plus because I'm a high protein, low carb kind of guy. Just got back from the gym. We've got queso fundido and ground beef and cauliflower rice, all with over 40 grams of protein. Factor powers your day sun up to sundown with nutritious breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Factor has your whole day covered. I use Factor to hit my dietary goals with delicious and convenient meals, and you can too. Get started at factormeals.com/SeanChandler50 off and use code SeanChandler50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code SeanChandler50 off at factormeals.com/SeanChandler50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. In 3rd, How to Train Your Dragon 2. And honestly, all 3 of the main films in this franchise are great, and becomes kind of a matter of preference at this point in time. What do you connect with? Which type of arcs, familiar connections are of interest to you, and which sort of things in your family context maybe move something backwards? We'll talk about that in just a second. But this is the Empire Strikes Back of the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. It's the middle chapter. The stakes are higher, the villain is more menacing, and we have massive parent reveals. Whether you're talking about the death of a certain character in the back half of the film, Toothless turning evil, it is the darkest film in the trilogy. The action here is much bigger than in the previous film. There's a much more overt villain, where in the first movie, it's not so much that there's exactly a villain, that it's like society's in the wrong and they make a bad choice and there's like a creature out there, so there's a final boss fight, but it's not like a villain throughout the film that we're fighting against. This movie gives us an actual villain that is menacing and dangerous, and at the same time, the movie finds ways to continue to have that emotional hook. That's what these movies all do so well, is having like this emotional hook that gives a weight to it. It's not just cool dragon action and adventure. There's always something deeply personal about what's going on, and this time it does it through the mother and even the parents' relationship, the love between the two of them. And so we're exploring equally emotionally weighty ideas, but without just rehashing themes. Now, as much as I say that our villain Drago is like menacing, I don't find him particularly compelling. He's much more of just a force of nature as opposed to a character that is specifically interesting. And so, maybe that held it back. The other one is because it is a darker film, it's never played as well in my household because it's just it is so weighty. My kids love the How to Train Your Dragon TV shows, the Rescue Riders, they watch all that stuff. And this is the one movie they're like, I don't know, it's just because it's heavier. And that doesn't make it bad, but if you're talking about a family movie, I evaluate these as a dad and how we watch them as a family. It's the one that we're the most hesitant about. It's a great movie. All three of the main ones are great. That's why it's in third. Our runner-up, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. And I thought that this was a great conclusion to the trilogy, and I appreciated that they didn't try to just keep this thing going and going forever. I mean, there's plenty of TV shows if you want to dive in deeper into the week-to-week little adventures with Hiccup and Toothless. But as for the films, they decided to have a very clear set arc that they closed out and they finished. And because of that, it's able to give each film its own unique theme, its own distinct conflict, villain in the story, and end this film in a very satisfying way that feels like we've had a complete journey for our characters as well as their relationships. It's the most plot-based of the three films, where from the get-go we're introduced to a villain that's a threat that causes the whole community to try and move. And so it's very heavy on plot, which in and of itself, I think, makes it distinct amongst the films because it, the other one, the original movie, it's a story about a boy versus society, versus this one has an overt villain that we're trying to overcome to save the community and preserve the dragons long term. And so it just kind of gives it something nice while still having bigger ideas being explored. To the idea of it being plot-based and having a strong villain, I do believe this is the movie that easily has the best antagonist of the franchise, with Grimmel, who has a lot of screen time showing him as cunning, ruthless, intelligent, cruel, and someone that you truly want to see them defeat. That he's an actual threat to them, that they have to find a way to outmaneuver him. He's multifaceted. So when we get to the end of it, it's very, very satisfying. But we still do kind of have thematic exploration going on, as it is about growing up, relationships changing. It's about the consequences of our choices and our actions. And it's a movie that, I never knew that I wanted to see a dragon love story, and somehow they were able to make a dragon love story super cute. There's a few twist turns here and there that kind of fell a little bit flat. There's a couple plot points that rely on characters just being utter morons, that when you're closing out someone's final important choice that they make in the franchise and it's for them betraying their people just because they're stupid, that's not the most satisfying things. There's a couple nitpicks here and there, but otherwise, just a great bookend. In particular, the epilogue to it is just so satisfying. But coming in at number one, the original How to Train Your Dragon. But as I said before, I feel like any ranking of the main three films, I would understand why someone would think that's their favorite of the three, because all of them pick something or a couple of different things and do it really, really well. As for me, I just kind of love these introductory stories where we enter into a world for the first time. And in particular with this film, it's a classic story of an outsider that can't connect with his father, can't connect with his peers. People don't understand him. He can't find his place in this world. And then it's also a boy and his dog story, except his dog happens to be a dragon. And the central conflict, while you do have a big boss fight with a huge dragon monster thing, the actual conflict is a boy against society. Society's wrong, and society needs to change and learn from the adventure that he goes on through this relationship with his dog/dragon. And so it just has a lot of emotional resonance to it. It's a very weighty film while being filled with cute pet stuff where Toothless is designed to feel like a dog, and he very much does. And if you are a dog person, you will fall in love with Toothless very quickly. But then there's just the fun escapism, the idea of riding dragons. It's an underdog story of out of nowhere, this kid that everyone wrote off becomes the savior of his community. It's a boy earning the respect of his father in a very subversive way that's unexpected. And so it's just a film that hits on so many different levels. It's so entertaining. It has a phenomenal score. Like, it's one of those ones that I always forget just how good it is until it kicks in and you go, wow, like, man, what a score that also fits perfectly with something like this. The closest comparison is like a score that captures the majesty of creatures would be the Jurassic Park score. They're very different scores, they're very different movies, but both of them are kind of about the beauty of these dangerous beasts, and both of them have a score that just captures adventure and wonder in such an amazing way. So for me, the first one, in a trilogy of films where there's no wrong answer in my mind, the first one comes out on top because I just love that first adventure into the world and everything that was created, everything you want to explore, and the emotional weight of it all. So it comes in at number 1. Be sure to share your ranking down below. Learn more about Factor at that link down below in the description, and you can check out my ranking all the DreamWorks movies, like somewhere around here, wherever it is. I did a few years back. I'll probably update that next year whenever the new Shrek movie comes out. But as for now, that's when it was only 39 movies. And keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.